everyone. Not there yet. Hi everyone. Here we are again. I want to make sure that you can hear me. So happy to see you all. I hope you had a very happy Christmas. Okay, everyone. Hi. Well, there's some wonderful people here. We got Verpy and Becky and Juliet and Sirius and Erica, Isabel, hi, Lily. Well, I think we can start loud and clear. Thank you. Well, I've had a very, 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 oh good, thank you. Erica, she says, I got your book for Christmas and I've only made it to the second chapter, but I love, love, love it already. Great, that's super. Well, I had a really special COVID social distancing garden Christmas grotto that our eldest daughter Alice created for Claire and Brianna and me so that we could all sit outside with our ski coats and fur hats. And it was really, really fun. I have to say that she put so much love into it that you couldn't miss it. It warmed the heart, kept us warm. She was so organized. She even had those little tiny hand warmer things that you can either use in your gloves or you can put in your shoes. And she put up a Christmas tree outside with ornaments and lights and green garlands and just everything that we would do indoors. And she did it in secret too. She's made some really beautiful presents that look like sea urchins and really special. I stayed with her for a few days and now I'm back home so I could do lives with you. So I'm really happy. It's sort of the middle week meeting together with you all is very uplifting. I'm really happy to be here. And Matthew helped me to make sure it was all operational, and so that tension wasn't here at all. So I am going to look at your messages. Hang on a minute. Hi Fareed, we had a wonderful Christmas, and Stefan is here. Angelo, ciao. I'm so happy you're here. And McDaniel's Blues. Okay. It was very magical. Amazing art behind me, yes. You know, for weeks I was telling you I was in this process of creating a piece of art with gold leaf, and then covering up the gold leaf with different gold leaf, and then paint and putting splatters and things like that. So that one here is that painting. And it's called the Golden Sun. There is a mantra that in my healing group of many years ago, we used to say the Gayatri. And it says, O Lord, from whom all things proceed, to whom all things return, unveil to us the true spiritual sun, hidden by a disk of golden light, so that we may know the truth as we journey to thy sacred feet. So it's interesting for me how I never know what's going to happen, as I've said before, and even during it, a number of layers of putting on the gold leaf, taking it off, putting flake gold leaf on, taking it off, putting more colors, go dark, go light, and then lo and behold, there it was this one day. Here it is. And I'm quite pleased, really. So, yes, Juliet, she did a really great job, I have to say. Taking something that might have been lonely chaos and making it really special. So I have to say it's one of my best Christmases. So it just goes to show magic can be born from very little. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Verpy. Thank you, Becky. Hi, Susie. Good to see you looking amazing. Yeah. Yeah. So, you might see that the title of this is Beyond Limitation. And I want to talk to you about New Year's. For many, many years, we always had the party. And we partied. And we kissed and sang Auld Lang Syne. And we partied some more and got home and didn't feel too great in the morning. And it started getting a bit sort of, what am I doing this for? But every year we had to follow the habit. And then one year I was told that what you do on New Year's Eve has the opportunity to shape the energy that comes to you throughout the year. I didn't quite understand what that was at the time, but I do now, and I ever since meditate and formulate the idea of the positive side of going with it. And you know, everyone's talking about COVID and wanting a new year beginning, and so there's something we can do about that. And since our parties have to be very small, and a lot of us are on our own, then you could make it really special. We could light candles, and we could sing and dance. You could dance as well, but most of all, don't start the day hungover. Don't start your first day of the new year hungover. Honestly, it blocks the energy for going forward. So when I understood that, that's what I've done, and that's what I do. I want to be the conductor and work with the universe And it's like really important. We have such an incredible chance right now to create the new beginning we all want. We've certainly been in retreat for a long time this year, so don't waste it. And I think this year I might just be quiet during the day as well. I certainly don't know if London's going to have large fireworks where everyone congregates in the city, and Scotland and all around the world. I have no idea what's going to happen this year. But it's only a few days away. We will find out. So, Juliet, it has many layers, that's for sure. It's like the pre-Raphaelites, I think it was Hunt, used to put gold leaf first as a ground. And the Italians would use a red, like gesso, what's it called, a boule. And the Nordic painters during a certain time would always paint blue underneath. So there's a different radiance that comes through. Even if it doesn't look like it's there, it does radiate outwards. So this one's got a lot of gold radiance, that's for sure. Becky, I was just sharing. I'm sorry I missed your message, but yes, I have plans. Open the doors at midnight to let go of the old year and bring the new one in. Hi, Michael and Doreen. I'm glad you made it. They're in California. I loved your first day back at KPFK. Really good interview. So Verpy says she never drinks, so she doesn't get a hangover. I mean, a good wine can, during dinner and things, is a lot of yumminess. But I gave up alcohol, gosh, maybe 25 years ago, for medical reasons at first, and then it became a way of life where I wanted to be here, observing, ready to respond, because all the work, inner work, was to listen. I listened to the message that might be coming to me, that would guide me, because I feel that we're more than just the physical universe that we've created. And that's so special for me. And that's where my creativity is born. But it's actually, there in some of the studies that I did, there was this saying of from darkness to light. And I pondered that for a long time. But I've come to realize that there's another dimension beyond the limitation of what we're taught to think. And now I work with from light to light, which is probably why that painting has got so many layers of gold and all kinds of variations. We've already done the darkness to light in our consciousness. A lot of people don't realize that, but we are on the crest of a wave right now. And we're all part of it, to bring joy. And that's why we had to go into retreat with COVID, I'm sure, to reassess the values of our daily existence. Let's see what you guys are up to. Excuse me. Verpy says that they have a great tradition of tin melting New Year's forecasts here in Finland. I've never heard that. We melt a horseshoe-shaped piece of tin, and see what form it takes. So it tells you your new year. How special is that? Really special. Hi, Veronica. I hope you're okay. How are the kids? Becky says, some are losing hope. We must always hope on to hope. I think a lot of people are struggling because we're having to let go of certain habits that aren't necessarily for the best. There is a lot of greed right now, a lot of holding on, and we need to look closer into what we're thinking. What are you feeding in to this special body? In your mind, in your thoughts, your emotions and your feelings, your actions, the food you eat. We're in a really, really special moment to create more consciously. A lot of people know that we are so much more than the limitations of a lot of our habits. And I, for one, still greet a lot of them, because to go from darkness to light, you'll be letting go, seeing, responding, admitting, choosing something really special instead. And then to do light to light is another cycle of the same process, but other dimensions of who we are. Nikki says, I haven't minded 2020 aside from the loneliness. I've actually overcome a lot this year, so for that I'm truly grateful. And Isabel agrees. And Veronica says the kids are okay. Oh, Becky, that is one of my favorite paintings. I have Watts's painting of hope and touch it and make a wish every day. Have you ever gone to his, what was his studio? It's amazing. They did a lot of community get-together. It's very near to Guildford in Compton. And I remember the first time I went there, it was, my mouth dropped because of how he and his wife empowered the feminine as well as the masculine and the spirit of hope within our hearts. I highly advise people going to see it. Not sure if it's open right now, but it's wonderful. Really wonderful. And there's a little chapel just as you're coming up this road to go to what was the studio is now a gallery. And inside, his wife and the community, in fact, built the whole thing. His last painting's on the altar. He wasn't very well. And they've painted angels all the way around the walls. And I gave a surprise birthday party to a very dear friend, almost my surrogate mom, Miriam Friedman. All of her friends, her family, and Mrs. Tweedy's group, as many as possible, came and hid inside the chapel. She didn't know what was going on. I had our tour car limousine driver pick up Miriam and her husband Lenny, and they lived in Golders Green. So they had a journey to go, and Lenny wouldn't tell her where she was going, and our driver was sworn to secrecy. And so they're driving along the M4 and they're coming up to Heathrow. So she's going, we're not going somewhere on a plane, are we? I don't have, things I need. I don't have our passport. Lenny's going, quiet, just quiet. So they continue on and on and on and on. And they come to Gatwick. Again, she's asking, are we going somewhere by plane? We said, no, we're not. And it came to a point that our driver stopped at a pub, which happened to have balloons outside. And she goes, we haven't driven this far to go to a pub. And Lenny goes, no, dear, just calm down. He just had to go to the gents. He was actually making a phone call to tell us how close they were. Well, plot thickens. They come up to the gate to this chapel, but it's a cemetery that you have to walk through. And she is completely confused. Lenny, you brought me to a graveyard. What's going on? And I pop up out from behind the hedge and happy birthday. She never has forgotten this as we walked her up to the chapel. And when we opened it, all the people had candles, and she had to go from person to person to person to person as they each blessed her. And then we had a picnic out on the lawn. Everything possible for her to have and everyone to eat, and bread and cheese and baskets and red checkered tablecloths and to sit on. It was really special. It's a hard one to top, I have to say, and it's in my book. Hi, Neil. He's hi from Liverpool, going into Tier 3. Well, I'm in Tier 4, and so fortunately is Alice, and unfortunately, but at least we're still in a bubble. And it's an interesting time. Yeah, Becky, Miriam will never forget it. So when I said to Alice how amazing she decorated her back garden, and she says, well, I did have a good example how to do things like that. It's in her bones. She has such creativity. I'm really pleased for her. Becky says Cambridge is Tier 4. Yeah. I was thinking, can we just pause and take a moment of stillness? It feels like we're all building an energy of unity. And if we could just be quiet, just for a little while. Juliet says, and I'm going to cough, hang on. Sorry. Happy New Zealand. Juliet says she'd really love to find who I used to be again, in the fun side, positive, relaxed side of me, but also to embrace my new self. P.S. I adore the story you just told. Goodness, I'm so sorry. I know the feeling. I went to a therapist when David and I separated. I'm going to get a drink. Wow. I think I'm okay. I don't know why this is happening. I think I'm okay. Anyway, Juliet, to answer your question, there was a time that a therapist said to me after David and I had separated, Ginger, you must find who you were before you separated, before you met David. And I have to say, I'm still looking. Honey and brandy. Yeah, well, I don't have any. I've got honey, but I'm here with you, and I'm sure I'll be fine. Jackman's, yes, James Wood. Hi there. I happen to have one. Except I can't quite talk very easily with a Jackman, but I highly recommend them. Nice to see you, James. So anyway, one does get very lost sometimes in when relationships dissolve. For me it was like, one of the biggest dreams of my life had suddenly went off with the wind, and I reflect on it often sometimes and wonder. But at the same time as saying that, I found something else within me as a result of it. So I can't complain. I'm very grateful for my life. I think I have to go shopping. Neil, I don't talk to Polly very often anymore. They have their life. I have mine. The kids are all grown up. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. But obviously we're in each other's life because we share children and we share the father of those children in our history. I say thank you all the time and try to live the best that I can and radiate and help people and my children find their path with very little interference, because teenagers, and actually they're not teenagers anymore, I'm really losing time. They're in their late 30s and 40s. Gosh. And all working on their creativity and dealing with COVID and the pandemic. Claire's working very hard as a carer, and quite a test. And young Brianna, our granddaughter, first grandchild, she's finding it hard. She's 14, and they need school. They need their friends. The grown-ups around them just don't think like they do, and it's going to be a year they won't forget. Doreen says, I love the pic of me being pregnant. I'm guessing your sweet Rodeo Drive girl. Looks like an adorable owl behind you. So is it Claire in the oven? Yeah. And Neil saying, Matt's doing well with his music. I've been following him. Thank you, Neil. I think artists and things, musicians are finding it a real challenge as it goes on, because they can't do their gigs. It's hard to make a buck, as they say. And I certainly had plans on having classes and having exhibitions and lecturing, and now it's all online. Quite a time. Sharon says, we can't go backwards. The person before has grown and gone. Now we reinvent. I think what the therapist meant, and what I understand, is that when you go into a relationship, at least for me, I dissolve, the boundaries dissolve, you become one with that other person. And you're always in this relationship of who am I as an individual, who am I within the relationship. And it's not so much as going backwards, but it's a matter of discovering your potential that you might have forgotten what that was. And the courage to reinvent. It's, I remember not thinking that I could do that. But I did. I always had this ability to dare. You know, there's pain. Your challenge in life is not to make it as suffering, because everything, there is a pain to the shifting. The Dalai Lama always talks about life being like a teacup, that teacup has to shatter in order for a new teacup to be made. And before that, you're filling it and you're filling it and you're filling it. It gets to the top and it just overflows and goes onto the table. So it becomes evident that we need a new teacup to hold the essence. Well, isn't it interesting? Verpy's just saying Matt didn't do his live stream last night because he has something in his eye, which he didn't tell me. He did say he didn't do it last night, but I have to say we were involved with doing the live stream and making sure it's all cool. I will have to check this out. Thank you, Nikki. She enjoys Matt's live, and so does Juliet. Neil's wife thought it was a good thing to buy our granddaughter an ice cream cart for Christmas, and it took him 2 hours to assemble. The thing was a nightmare, but he says it was worth it because he loves it. Well, our grandson, Lenny, baby for Sarah and Gus, bought Lenny a kitchenette. And there are many pictures of the two of them trying to set it up. And Tex is going, ah! Claire's really good at it. But she's out here and they're in London in lockdown. So they eventually got it up, and the Christmas videos was so cute. He's just over 2 years old. Blonde, blue eyes, smiling, wonderful little one. And he's stirring his food in the little tiny pan and showing it to us. We're all going, yum, that's really good, Lenny. And then I think Claire bought him some wooden vegetables that stick together with Velcro and a fake wooden knife that he can cut his vegetables. He might wind up on MasterChef one day. Of course, we all love cooking in our family. Becky is asking me a question. How did everyone else feel when your children grew to adulthood and left home? Did you feel a large void had opened? Well, predominantly I raised them in the Steiner school. And Mrs. Tweedy, my Sufi teacher, used to say you need to give a child a very tall wall to jump over. And the Steiner school parent-teachers meeting were really great. They had there's a 4-part cycle that you work with. And in that age group, it was, you were prepared to have them question what you might do or not. And I'd been thinking about how do I help these individuals find who they are, not to conform to my rule book, well, some of it I thought was pretty universal. But generally speaking, you didn't go into reaction as much when they started to say, I'm going to leave home, or I want to do this, or whatever. I remember Claire left the house sooner, and David and I decided that she wasn't necessarily going to want to go to college. So we should get her a flat so she didn't keep going and living with chaps that might not be the person that she would marry, because she needed a home. So that's what we did for her. And then she wound up coming back, and then she went out again, and Alice went to college in Maine. That was, I don't know, I was into my art, and I loved Me Too, and I wanted them to find who they were. Sometimes it was difficult, but I believed in life and how they will succeed. But success for me is really finding how you can live life to the best. Because it all stress is a way of conquering and discovering who you are. To go beyond your limitations, to see, because you can choose, especially when you get to be an adult. You can choose what you live. You have to be courageous, though. You have to be able to dare. I seem to do that quite a lot. Right now, it's like being in limbo in some ways. I mean, I can work on myself because I have that vision. But how to work with the outside world, if what is my purpose anymore? Except loving to create beautiful imagery and talk to you about the beauty that you are. Yeah, Juliet says that her son is 14, so he's not left home but spends 50% of the time at his dad's. We're separated, so I do understand. His dad and I have we are very different in our views of upbringing, so it's tricky. Yep, it can be very tricky, and to find respect for difference is, especially if you're divorced, takes a while. I think my challenge was that David, when we were together, we could do vegetarian and meat sometimes. But the children, when they were with me, were predominantly vegetarian. And when they went to Dad's, it was lamb or beef and Yorkshire pudding. Their stomach would get a little bit upset about it. But now they choose, and they have their own way of eating. Maybe it was a good thing for them to have a different viewpoint, and then they could choose. I hope that the most important aspect is to love your body and your mind and your emotions, to love living, and no matter how simple or grand you have as a possibility. But mastering being alive, I think, is one of the most important things that we can find. Sharon has a lot of children. I hope I'm not losing you. Okay. I know, Verby. If you lose your animals, mine were like my kids as well. Well, Sharon, if you're dreading the day that you're on your own, start contemplating your own loves of what you might want to do. I don't know if you know that you can go on my shop. I'm offering having conversations with you, private ones. If you want to do that, you can sign up for that. Um, but we have 10, 12 more minutes. Perhaps somebody has another question for me. I was thinking that maybe I should tell you more about this layering as an artist. Cecil used to say that there's the etheric aspect of what we are travels through clear glazes, and also if you use transparent colors. And what I mean by that is that a lot of pictures that you see are done with acrylics, which is like a plastic, and the light doesn't travel through it, it reflects back to you. So if you look at any of my paintings, the light travels through it, it also reflects back. And that basically is what we are as human beings. And I want to give an experience that when people look upon my work, you're being led to your own conscious experience within. And so I can't paint just with an acrylic paint. I have used them to represent the aspect of the physical side of what we are, this body. The colors are very opaque. And then there's the aura side of things, and that's when I will use a translucent, transparent tints and paint glazes in between, so the light travels through and it creates extra optical colors, which is what life is. I will never be able to catch it completely, but I'm working on giving some form of an experience of who we are. So Becky wants to know, what are my hopes for the future, Ginger? Do you have a bucket list in life? My bucket has a hole in it. I just want to love being in the now and be open to what comes to me. I have to be honest that I watched a movie called Something about the feet. It's on Netflix. Alice told me about it, and I watched it, and it was about elders learning to have joy and not give up behind a wheelchair. And what it made me think is that, is there something I haven't done yet that I want to do? I don't know. It's the seed is being planted. I started my pre-bucket list years ago when I went to Hawaii and lived in a bungalow on the same property that Dorian and Michael were on in Maui. I just thought that's what I have to do. And then I got the guidance that I had to come back to England, and I've been here ever since. Painting, helping the Red Cross, working with the Paralympics, raising money for them for the 2012 Olympics. Just a lot of charity work. My children were getting older, so I could do more of serving in that way. But you know, they say that a lot of people are telling me, it's time for you, Ginger. Time for you. And I think, what is that? What is that? I get so much joy out of my artwork. And I felt very much in service. My whole life has, in a way, been of service. Maybe the service has to go my way a little bit. I don't know. I'll just live the best I can, really. Juliet's loving the idea of layering. That's what it's called, finding your feet. Really inspirational and happy. A lot of changes in normal living. But it's finding who you are and going for it. Yes. This is what we're working on, Kimberly. Helping others and still do you. What I think is important is that we all need to do ourselves now, because it's sweeping in front of your doorstep in a way. We've lost doing that. We've followed all kinds of different habits and programs, and even going to a lot of the meditation workshops and things. Are you really tuning in to who you are? Did I? And it's really important to sweep in front of your own doorstep. And I think that's what this year is all about. So that the future we can have a more beautiful life. And share it together. I think our priorities for hugging and smiling and laughing are being thought about. Yeah. So, Juliet, I believe that we're having our private conversation on Saturday in the afternoon. That sounds like a song, Sharon. Send in the clouds. I'm already here. Yeah, every day is another breath to take, to love, to value, to inspire. So, think it's time that we go again. So, create new beginnings for the new year. I'll be thinking of you. And I'll send a lot of gold and shine on, as they say in some groups. So Farid has a wonderful wisdom. The mistakes and experiences of yesterday become the guiding light of tomorrow. And what is the difference between something that happened yesterday and a dream you dreamt last night? So, thank you all for being here. I look forward to seeing you next year. Be at peace. Send in the clouds. That's it. That's what's going through my mind. Great song. Thank you, Sharon. I can hear it. I will listen to it again. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, everyone. Well, there we are. Happy New Year. Be safe. Be well. Be creative. Walk on. And fly.